Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives Podcast. This is part one of our series on ePayPolicy. On today's show, we have Emmanuel Osuya
Thanks for having me, Ken. Good to be here.
and Zac Franz.
Hey, Kenny.
Emmanuel will receive a full introduction in part two. As a sneak peek, Emmanuel is the agency principal of Alpha Direct Agency with over 20 years experience in the insurance industry. And we'll dive more into that in part two. Zac is the manager of strategic partnerships at ePayPolicy. I personally have had the pleasure of knowing Zac throughout his tenure at ePay, and while he joined the organization in a sales capacity, he has very quickly become the person overseeing strategic partnerships for the organization, and we work very closely together. He is also a huge enabler of my recent addiction to golf. I often look forward to our conversation so that I can get a tip on how to stop slicing so much. Zac and ePay both call Texas home. Zac is a proud graduate of Texas Tech University. I'm going to pretend that I know whether or not they're the Longhorns or not, but I don't think they are.
Ooh, that is the Red Raiders, but that's okay.
Gotcha. Perfect. Red Raiders. Actually, I feel like I did know that because it's the double T in red, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where I out myself as not a football guy. But the one thing I really want to highlight is that Zac is the best provider of socks in the game.
It's true.
And ePay has the best sock game, maybe second to HawkSoft. Maybe a little ahead of HawkSoft because you guys are slightly more inventive. I am currently wearing a limited edition pair of HawkSoft ePay socks that debuted at our national conference in Round Rock, Texas last year. Oh, you
I
have
was
them on
checking
hand?
to see if I was checking to see if I had another pair in my backpack. I don't, but yeah, it doesn't matter who's the best. You know, we did that collab sock, so there's one out there, the best of both worlds.
Someday in the future, there's going to be a sneakerhead that's like, did you get the HawkSoft ePay socks, man? Because they really make those Jordans sing. Just projecting some future out there that does not exist.
That's why you got to hold on to the socks. Yeah, keep one
true.
you wear and then one that's still like mint condition in the wrapper.
I'm still hung up on the limited edition. That's what I want.
Well, if you were coming to the Orlando Hug meeting later this week, I'd have a pair for you. I can send you a pair though, Emmanuel.
I just might.
That tees us up. Tees us up for this conversation about ePayPolicy. So Zac, before I dive into the partner questions, I'd love for you to just give us the quick elevator pitch for what ePayPolicy does for an agency.
So ePayPolicy, simply put, we do all things accounts receivable and accounts payable only for the insurance space. So we can help you collect all the funds, we can help you send all the funds, and then we can help you reconcile both of the collecting of payments and paying those payables out.
Excellent. Simple, concise. That is a perfect first floor to fourth floor elevator ride.
I'll get long-winded in my actual questions here, but yeah, the elevator's got to be short.
Perfect. We ask all of our partners the same 5 questions so that we can build a comparable set of answers any independent insurance professional can use to evaluate their technology providers. That sets us up for hole number 1 on our course.
I'm excited to see how many of these you can fit in. Yeah.
I have expended all of them so far. Zac,
yes.
Why does ePayPolicy exist? Put another way, what is the reason that ePay participates and focuses on the independent agency channel?
Well, we just saw that there wasn't really a payments provider. Kind of going back to the start, there wasn't really a payments provider that did this kind of thing specifically for the insurance space. And as you guys know, this is a pretty nuanced space. There's the right way to treat premiums. There's a bunch of little things that you don't really understand unless you've been in the business for a while. And so we're very fortunate to be coming into our 10th year as ePayPolicy. We've been only in the insurance space the whole time. So we've had about 7,000 customers now, and they've just been pointing us in the right direction for 10 years. So getting hyper-focused on the insurance space has allowed us just to make the lives of our customers simpler.
That's awesome that ePay is approaching its 10 years. Take us back to year 1. What started the company?
So the company actually started in kind of a funny way. It's born in Austin, so there's a lot of technology companies coming out of here. And it was the brainchild of two of our founders, Todd Sorrell and Milan Malkani. So Todd owned a premium finance company, and he just kind of came up in insurance. So you guys, he's had that 10 year, and he's known the business all his life. His dad was insurance. As you guys know, it's kind of an incestuous business. Everybody brings their family up, and then everybody kind of jumps around. Um, you get to know everybody very well in this business because you see them everywhere. But so Todd and Milan were actually at a kid's birthday party. Millen, just being a master coder and developer, was always looking for kind of his next project to start a company. And when these two got to talking, they just found that Todd's company had a need for collecting digital payments in a
Mm,
way that allowed them to pass the fees on to the payer and save money in their commission. So
gotcha.
when the two got together and worked on this, they originally built the tool for Todd's company. They built it for themselves. And then they saw just the massive scale and application of this and what they could do to revolutionize payments in the insurance space, and that very quickly became the company. And we started on a roll in the independent insurance agency space. We also work with a bunch of about 300 MGAs, wholesalers, and brokers, about 60 premium finance companies, a bunch of carriers. So really, we're hyper focused on the insurance space as a whole. But our bread and
Hmm.
butter did start with independent insurance agencies, and that's who got us to 5,000 clients originally. And now we're chasing seven.
That's amazing. I appreciate that context too, because I think that often in the finance space, folks assume that you come out of a bank, like a bank just
Right.
says like, "Hey, I need to capitalize on this. Let's go for that." But I love that ePay is grounded in the agency channel, comes from it, and I've had the opportunity to meet and talk with Todd a few times, which is a great thing about ePay as well. How accessible you all are.
Yeah, they're awesome. It's funny, Millen's actually working on his next venture now. So like he and Todd both sit on our board, but
Hmm.
Millen still comes in a few times a month and grabs a desk at the office and is just hammering away on his next project. So
That's awesome.
just a couple go-getters. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, we look at HawkSoft, we look at our own space amongst our own competitors, and we fully acknowledge that 80% of our functionality, that's going to be what is needed in any agency management system. Where we
Mhm.
try to stand out is that 20% of key differentiation. So I would love to know if you could pick one aspect of ePay, what draws in and keeps customers.
I think it's the way that we treat clients, Kenny. It always reminds me when I go to Hug and I see the way that HawkSoft clients talk about HawkSoft. They use a certain word that you don't really hear a lot in the management system space, and you definitely don't hear it a lot in the payment space. And the word is love. They say that they love HawkSoft. They love you guys. They can't wait to see what we're doing next. They love working with you. They love talking to you guys. They love interacting with the employees. And we feel that same sentiment from our customers here at ePay.
Hmm.
We've got a 98% retention rating. So when folks sign up with us, we treat them right and we do our jobs well. So there's just a good reason to stick around. I'm interested for when it's Emmanuel's turn to hear kind of about that, what his experience is. But have we treated you pretty right over the years, Emmanuel?
So far, so good. I haven't gone anywhere yet. I had probably
Yeah,
3, 4 providers before getting to ePay and not moved ever since.
nice. Well, you got my info, so I know hopefully I'm the first to hear about if there's ever anything going on.
Absolutely. You will.
Kind of a. This always feels like a little bit of a record scratch. This is it's a blind corner on the seventh hole. See, I got more of these. Um, so, uh,
I thought
we
you were just
always,
freestyling these now.
yeah, well, I wish I had writers. um, so HawkSoft has this really important advocacy towards data ownership with regards to an agency. We strongly
Hmm.
believe that Emmanuel, he and his staff do a lot of hard work to cultivate the data within their system, and nurture it and maintain it, and it's really valuable to them, and it's theirs. They own it. They did the hard
Hmm.
work to make it, to capture it, and to nurture it. And HawkSoft, we claim no ownership of that data, and that draws in a lot of our customers to us. And so a lot of our agencies share that perspective that they care about who owns the data. How does ePayPolicy approach data ownership with regards to your agency customers?
Well, our customers own all their data as well. I hate to just go right back to the previous questions you asked me, Kenny, but I think it goes down or it comes down to how customers feel about the service that they're with now, why that's so important to them, because if they did need to leave, then they could take it. And so that says a lot about the companies that say, yeah, it's your data, you can take it, because we know that we're going to treat those customers right. We're not going to give them any reasons to leave. And so if they need that kind of information, they need that data, you can download every piece of payments data that we have right from your dashboard into a CSV file or a spreadsheet at any given time. So our customers have all that access to their data. Uh, I can't even think about charging somebody for that kind of stuff. Like it's theirs. Uh, and that leads me to a really cool point is that ePay, we're actually moving beyond payments. So we started as a payments company, and then we've got really heavy into the reconciliation of both
Mm,
accepted payments and payables going out
hmm
this year. So we're leveraging that data and then our position with all of our integrated partners in the space, at the MGA, premium finance company, carrier, and agency level, and then our huge network of customers across the space. We can actually begin to share these data points as we work with and they've led to the kind of development of some new products, some cool stuff around the space. But we can actually start to share the data from different segments to better inform
Nice.
things like policy lifecycle management decisions at
hmm
the agency level. So we're moving beyond payments, and we're honestly becoming kind of a data company
That's
in that
awesome.
way, but a data company that would never charge for any of that data. That's always you guys's.
Yeah.
So I hope I answered your question. I told you I was going to get long-winded.
No, that's perfect, and I definitely appreciate that. We're always we're beholden to Zach, you mentioned earlier that Emmanuel has your contact info. I'm pretty sure everyone on our dev teams knows precisely where we live because we tend to be rather public individuals for our companies, and so we can neither confirm nor deny the specifics of this illusion I'm going to make. But ePay and HawkSoft talk frequently about these new avenues that we were exploring. So um, stay tuned to this channel for future updates. Uh, Now we get to a fun opportunity here, and it's especially fun because I like to grill our partners with a mutual customer on the line. Um,
Drivable par four, baby. Let's go.
Perfect. So our um, this podcast, the Insurance Perspective podcast, is meant to be a dialogue between technology providers and insurance professionals. And I let you guys know in the pre-show briefing that we like this to be honest, open, transparent. And sometimes that means having the hard conversation with your friends. So, Zac, from your perspective, having worked for quite some time with insurance professionals, what is the hardest part of working with insurance agencies?
Hmm. I I think it would probably be that it's an old school business, and so
Mm,
there's a mentality that comes along with that. And I'm from the sales side, so I was kind of always butting up against this when I first started at ePay. But there's the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of
mm-hmm,
mentality that I've noticed. And I mean, the things that these folks have been doing have been working for a long time, and folks have been making money. And there's no reason to go question or change stuff up when checks are coming in, cash is coming in, business is booming, and you're doing a good job. Uh, where ePay comes in is trying to change up that payment space so that folks are accepting digital payments. So trying to convince somebody that's taken checks for 30, 40 years for their business that, hey, you don't have to do that. You can take an ACH online. It's going to get to you faster. It's more secure. It's going to be cheaper. And you can also offer credit cards in case anybody wants to do that stuff. Um, so I guess running up against that would be the hardest thing because
mm-hmm.
thinking about it, like the typewriter was never broken, but we're not doing this podcast via typewriter right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'd say that, but um, there's some wonderful things about the people in this industry that I absolutely love. But yeah, that's my one. That's the hardest part, I think.
sure. Emmanuel, what do you think about that feedback for your industry?
Yeah, I was going to tell him to tread lightly because we know where to find him, but
Well,
but he's
Emmanuel's already used it. He's already made the jump, so that doesn't apply to Emmanuel.
no,
But
it is not. But he's exactly right. A lot of times, it's like why change? Just change just to change. But the reality is, I'm grateful for services like ePay because if you look at the world we're in today, very few of us or of our customers are paying by cash, right? It's all digital.
Hmm.
So having that foresight to join that space early for us was very important. In my world, I have all my offices off the main street, right, in the 6th floor to 12th floor. So really nobody's coming in. That was way before the pandemic. So I needed a way
Hmm.
to not just do credit cards, but also ACH, and they were absolutely the answer. But that's one of the things that we struggle with in a lot of insurance agents world. We still have two segments of customers. We have the younger group,
Hmm.
or at least the open-minded by way of changing method of payment, and we still have people that want to walk in and hand you a check or shake your hand and sit in the agency and bring you coffee. So there's still a good mix of that for most agencies. So that's probably why you still see some of the hesitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's you being a great point with kind of the older book of business and the newer book of business with the millennials and Gen Z, everybody coming. Like I just bought my first set of insurance after being on my parents' health insurance for a long time. So um, there's that new generation, and they're looking for digital options and digital convenience. So if the ain't broke, don't fix it. It's also aided by just an increase or like that hesitation of just digitizing as a whole,
Yeah.
moving everything to digital, and that when you think about that, it's a lot scarier than just adding an online payment option. Digitizing your entire book of business, digitizing the way you do outreach and the way that you interact with your customers and the way that you service them and get them like that's a big undertaking. So I think that probably plays a factor as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you have
Uh,
these tech forward agencies like Emmanuel here who got onto that even way before COVID, just because you saw that the way that things are trending with the rest of the world, like I you can't just go write a check anywhere these days. I moved into an apartment a couple years ago and I was about to write my first check. Got checks from the bank. I was super excited to go in there and do it. And I start writing my check in there and the guy goes, "Hey man, whoa, you can't do that. Just swipe your debit card." And I was like, "What? What was all this
I
for?"
I look forward to the time about once a year where something requires a check payment and I have to go to Google and I'm like, how do I write a check? like,
what
like
what
what
goes
goes on
here? What
which
goes here?
line?
It's
Yeah.
like writing a check and addressing a letter these days are
Oh
tough for the
yeah.
younger generation.
Yeah. We're just not equipped for it. Um, okay, so let's give you an opportunity to make up some strokes and recover on this.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
so we're gonna flip it now, and we just talked about one of the harder things to work with agencies. That if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality that kind of maybe can block them from looking at technology. But in your experience and maybe ePay's perspective, what is the best part about working with independent insurance agencies?
Easily the passion that comes from all these folks and what they do. I've been to a lot of these conferences now, Kenny, and there's a general theme that these folks are there to learn and they're there to share ideas. They're there to get better at their jobs. They're there to look for tools that help them get better at their jobs because their job is taking care of people, and they
Hmm.
take that to heart. Like people call on them in some of their darkest days, and their reactiveness and the ability to provide that service in a quick and professional manner, along with a compassionate manner in a lot of circumstances, um, is huge for people in a time where there's a lot of uncertainty and they can be scared, like when something happens and they need to call in their insurance. I think what really drove that home for me was the speaker at Hug 2 national conferences ago, talking about the
Hmm.
fire up in the
In
Colorado
Colorado.
area.
Yeah.
I was in Fort Collins when that fire was going on, so like I
Hmm.
was miles away, but I could see all that smoke, and I knew that sort of to have that experience a few months before, and then hear someone who lived through that, and then was kind of brought out on the other side by his insurance folks that he counted
Hmm.
on. Um, that really drilled that home for me, how much these people take pride in what they do because they're service-minded people. They're taking care of folks. I like to think I'm a service-minded person too. Just wanted to do the best I can to help everybody out. So that hits home for me.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I've made this observation in past episodes, but uh, me at 20, if you had said, "Hey, you're gonna love, respect, and call insurance way more than I can count insurance agents friends," I would have been shocked. But sincerely, um, some of the hardest working people and with just such big hearts, I would
Yeah.
say. And I always make the observation. and some inside baseball. It took us a while to schedule this, and it's not an issue that it took us a while, but it's like, Emmanuel, you run an agency that covers 3 states. You're a busy guy. You're protecting thousands of clients and their risks. And so many insurance professionals have that story where it's like, I'd love to help you out, but I'm also like, I got to go. My client just got into a wreck. I got to go check on them. I've talked to so many agents that's like, yeah, there's a house fire. I was there. Like they didn't have to be there. They could have just done the claims paperwork later, but they make that decision like, I'm going to go there with a blanket and a teddy bear, make sure they're okay. Not to gush a ton about insurance professionals, but
And I echo that too. If you had told me at 20 years old, like my best friend's dad growing up is an independent insurance agent, like owned his own agency. First thing I did when I got to ePay was look him up. He was already using ePay because I always knew him as a very technology forward guy growing up.
yeah,
But now just like I feel like I've run into a bunch of my best friends' dads at these
yeah.
shows that I go to, and they're all just great people with the biggest heart, like you mentioned.
So I started in HawkSoft in support, and one day my family agency called in and needed help with something, and I was like, I had no idea. So it is one of those things. I don't know. We attract good people to do business with us,
Yeah.
and we're fortunate for it for sure. So you've answered all of our partner questions, but we have the 6th bonus. I'd
No
love
lightning round?
No, well, hopefully not. But the question here, to sink the putt and come in under par, is how does ePay work with HawkSoft? How do we work together? What do we do?
Well, you alluded to it a little bit earlier. There are some talks going on right now, and I think I actually just scheduled with Matt a deeper conversation. But there are some talks going on about how we can bridge the gap between HawkSoft and ePay to a true two-way integration. So those conversations are happening, and they're happening at the right speed. That's making me very excited. So that and I don't want to say too much, get in trouble. So that's all I'll say. But you know that when that's coming, we'll be shooting out emails, and we'll let everybody know. Currently, today we work with HawkLink. So if you don't know about HawkLink, that's a fantastic Chrome extension that you can download at any time, and you can use it with a bunch of cool external tools, including ePay. But it's great for pulling all the data out of HawkSoft and being able to just populate forms very quickly online. So you can do that with ePay with our payment page fields. You can also link ePay as an external tool in HawkSoft so that you can have a one-click option in HawkSoft to just jump right out to your ePay page. For all of our mutual customers out there, I'm sure Emmanuel's already doing this, but you can add the ePay payment page link on the HawkSoft invoice templates so that when you send an invoice out, it just says, hey, you can now pay online, click here, and you hyperlink folks and you just give them a one-click option to getting to your payment page. So there's a lot of great ways that we work together now. I'm extremely excited for 2024 and the ways that we're going to be able to work together next year. But again, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
But
I am too. The magic of radio, the magic of podcasts, is that by the time listeners are listening to this, that conversation will have happened.
Oh yes,
it's coming to you from the future. I think that's a great place for us to stop and tantalize folks to tune in next week for part 2 of our discussion with ePay, where we will be interviewing Emmanuel about how Alpha Direct Agency uses ePay inside their business. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the video's description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode, as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives podcast.